Well, good evening and welcome. It's Tuesday evening. We're in the middle of summer, and while it is absolutely balmy outside, you can see the rain is falling already here on the fifth round of the RTA Virtual Motorsports Touring Car Championship season in association with Motorsport.ie. Thank you very much, as ever, for your company, and welcome to Gantry TV. If you haven't joined us before, my name is Kevin Galvin, and we're here for the fifth round of what has been an intriguing and enthralling touring car season thus far. Heading further north, we were in Thruxton last weekend in the county of Hampshire. We've headed all the way up north now to Oulton Park, and a very slippery and wet Oulton Park it is too. Obviously, Oulton Park, one of the staples of the touring car championship season. We're racing on the international circuit, that is the full circuit with the chicane in it. So we'll be racing the full layout of it. 2.69 miles, just over 4.3 kilometers, 17 turns in total, with a race lap record of 128.6. That is down to Joe Loke in the Tatis 2023. Some very famous corners. You will see that left-hander of Cascades heading down towards the risky Island Bend. Particularly risky, the left-hander, high-speed left-hander with this wet weather. Then down Shell Oil corner, through Britons and Hislops, chicanes. Knickerbrook is that turn there. You can just see the grandstand being noted on our map. Then you head down towards Druids and finally Lodge before going across the finish line. So very much a iconic track here for Oulton Park at the international configuration, and as you can see, a bit of drizzle falling here, about 11% precipitation here for the fifth round of the Touring Car Championship. Thanks as ever to Motorsport.ie for their coverage. My name is Kevin Galvin. As you can see, no Evan Dalton with me this evening. Evan unfortunately isn't feeling too well, so we will wish him a very happy recovery. No doubt he is watching along. But I am joined by the Gantry TV OG and broadcaster extraordinaire, Ronan Hederman. Ronan, you'll be joining me every now and again when your brain capacity bandwidth allows, but back for the fifth round. It's been a really good series thus far. Obviously Oscar Mangan missed last week, so we got to see some battling, and there were plenty of incidents.
Yeah, up and down the grid there was loads of incidents, so we had quite a few pile-ups and quite a filled incident channel in the Discord for RTA. But yeah, lovely to be here, lovely to be in Oulton, and a little bit of rain to dice it up this week.
Yeah, we always love seeing a small bit of rain. Peter McCann doesn't necessarily always love to see a small bit of rain, but the rest of us do. And a very changed overall standings. We'll come to that in a second, but as we say, we're in the town of Little Budworth, which is a superbly named town altogether. Track temp is only 21 degrees, so much lower than last week. We were hovering around the 40s last week. We're at only 21 this time around. We started the 15-minute qualifying. As you can see, all of the drivers piling out of the pit lane here at Oulton Park. It is a short pit lane as they head round the pit bend exit and down what is fondly called the avenue. Nice to see some different sort of liveries round here. That taxi livery came up on my feed today when I was looking for photographs of New York Airport to do with a story on Cork Airport I'm doing at the moment. That will come out tomorrow on the Irish Independent website if you're looking, but that is indeed, I think it's Jordan Kelly that we're looking at, am I right in saying? So that is the car number one, which is actually Dermot Toomey, my apologies. But Jordan Kelly, I was hoping to speak about him because Jordan had a great week last week. That is him in the 14. I need to get my live timing screen up in front of me here. But Jordan taking 2 race wins last week, very much capitalising on Oscar Mangan's lack of appearance last week. I was going to say disappearance, but he didn't disappear. But Oscar's lack is Robbie's win, because Robbie Callahan now jumps into the lead. He's 2.62 in the championship with Ronan Doherty on 2.56. Ronan already has 2 lots of 15-point penalties, so very heavily involved in some contacts. Then Dylan McClemens in P3. Oscar Mangan then in P4, tied on points, but obviously the drop rounds are going to come into it. Oscar has had his So we'll be interested to see how he comes back from that, to see how good he is in the rain. Then Brandon McGahan in 5th. Evan Walsh having a great season back in the front-wheel drive cars on 191. He's in 6th place at the moment. Dan Mould, unfortunately an incident in the second race last week, but came back strongly in heat number 3. He's in a P7, followed by Jordan Kelly, who had a particularly good week last week, as I said, race 1 and race 2 winner. Then Wayne Douglas, our race 3 winner, and Sean McGoldrick in P10 on 158 points. So that is where we stand for this week. This is the B Championship, of course, with Dave Collier leading ahead of Finlay Melvin. The Scottish flyer will be heading to his home country next week in Knockhill. Jacob Hobbs in P3, then Simon Hutchings in 4th, David Prunty in 5th, Emma Dempsey in 6th, Andrew Murphy in 7th, Phil Upson tied with Andrew Murphy on 31 points in 8th, so kind of tied 7th really. Simon Wall on 9th, and then Nathan Sweeney on -6 points. So the standard at the top of the B Championship isn't low, but I think it's fair to say the standard in terms of getting into the top 10 isn't particularly high. But that's where we are, folks, and we're opening up the qualifying session here. Just to give you a reminder, if you haven't been with us before, we do 3 heat races and we have a qualifying session. Here it is in front of us. So race 1 is 10 minutes long, grid by set by the qualifying that you see in front of you. Then race 2 is 15-minute affair with the grid set by race 1. And in race 3, we take the top 8, we swap them around, and we go for another 20 minutes for the final race. Drive-throughs at 15x, DQs at 20 incident points possible in the 20-minute race. You would want to be doing something seriously wrong to get a DQ in the opening race, but it's not outside the bounds of possibility. As we looked there very quickly at Robbie Callahan, our race leader. Hello to everybody joining us. Peter McCann says hello from Oulton Park. Cars are undrivable, which is normal really, but worse this week. Look, Peter, if anybody has seen the intro, has actually stayed to watch the intro, you'll know Peter McCann's previous record of driving in the rain, which isn't necessarily always the best, but we'll say nothing else because Peter is helping to pay our wages, so I won't say anything more lest I be taken off the payroll. Hello to Jamal Gondor as well. Jamal is in session, I think, or I'm open to correction, but I think Jamal is in session, so looking forward to seeing what he can do in the B Championship. He's not had a great run of it thus far. Danny Dempsey is in saying go Emma. Danny, we're wondering where you are, pal. Are you on track? Joined us for the opening part of the season, but we haven't seen him since. I missed last week, so could very potentially be just missing this week. Don't want to say anything against him, but would love to see Danny back on the grid. And Johnny Hollywood, as ever, joining us. Johnny is an absolute regular here with us at Gantry TV, and as ever, Johnny, your contribution is massively appreciated. We were talking earlier about the likes of Evan Walsh and indeed Jordan Kelly. Jordan took us to the opening first 2 race wins last week, and he's going to take us around the lap of Oulton Park here. As we said, Oulton Park International with the chicanes. It is a 2.69 miles, just under 2.7 miles, and 17 turns of it. So let's see. So you're heading down the main straight. This is Old Hall. You want to get nice and tight and then use all of that exit on the outside. There's so much runoff there that you could possibly use. There's kind of it's like grass but kind of gridded over by this sort of plastic, so you get to keep the speed. This is Cascades. This is a cambered corner on the inside, so you want to try and stay as much on the inside as you possibly can and keep that camber as much as you can, then use the outside as much as possible. As you head down towards the Island Bend, full commitment here if you want to get a good lap time in. Again, cambered on the inside, but you have to be careful. You can very much run on the outside, and once you get to the outside of that corner, straight into that tyre barrier you go. Now, down towards Shell Oil Corner, there's 2 ways of taking this. This can be split into 2 sections, or it can, as Jordan just showed us there, taken as one complete hairpin, similar to the hairpin that we see at the bottom of the Nuremberg chicane. Then we take the chicane here. Sorry, the Nuremberg hairpin, should I say. We take the chicane here at Britain's. That's 7, 8, and 9. Of the international section, and up over the crest, up over Hilltop, and down towards Hislops. These 2 corners they're not overly difficult chicanes, but with those hay bales on the inside can potentially be very difficult, as you can see somebody making a mistake in front of Jordan in yesterday's qualifying. Then up over the top of Knickerbrook, corner. Great story behind that corner. I'll try and see if I can get to it over the course of the commentary. As we head towards, this is turns 13 and 14. They do count as turns. This turn is known as Water Tower. No prizes for guessing why that is. Then Druids. This is a double right-hander. You kind of missed the apex of the second right, really. You cut the first one, but then missed the second one. As you head down Warwick Bridge and in towards Lodge. Late apex here in Lodge. It's one of those corners that kind of tightens more than you think it does. You think you have plenty of room, and then as you get to the exit, you realise you actually don't have as much room as you thought. Through Deer Leap and up over the line, and that is indeed a lap here of Oulton Park in Cheshire in England. We're right up the north of England. We head further north next week to Knockhill for our most northerly point of the season, having spent some time in the soft south. We're now heading into the north, and Ronan, weather very much that is kind of fitting for this part of England. It does rain a lot here, and it'll give something else for the drivers to think about, but hopefully not as much carnage as we had last time we raced in the rain.
You would like to think all the Irish are going to be seriously familiar in this type of situation, but iRacing threw in this lovely update last year to spice things up and make it a bit more realistic, and the feedback so far on the actual rain has been fantastic, but from what I've heard from the RTA drivers, they hate it. So yeah, it's gonna make things interesting. I've seen some interesting practice cuts, if you want to call them in rally terms, during their practice sessions. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one, especially sending, how many cars have we got tonight? 25 cars down to turn 1 and 2.
Yeah, survival most certainly is the name of the game here, and this is why this qualifying session is so important, not necessarily for trying to guarantee points, but just trying to stay safe. The further you are up the field, naturally enough, the less likely you are to run into somebody who's had an incident ahead of you. So we're looking on board with Dylan McClements. Just want to give a quick shout out to brother Sean as well. Very unfortunate news. He announced this week that he will no longer be running in real life this year. Got caught up in a very earlier a first round incident at Mondello Park, very unfortunate one, and unfortunately the damage for the car is too much to carry on this year. But nothing, despite that, I know the post said that hopefully Sean will be back next year. The plans are afoot, so let's hope for that. So for Sean, really the focus is on the virtual season this and indeed next season for him as we head through the summer, and we will hopefully have details of the following season in due course. I would give it another fortnight or so and we should have more information from that. So Jamal, speaking of information, Jamal Gandor won't be with us tonight. He's sitting this one out this evening, unfortunately. And Danny Dempsey is missing this week. Unfortunately, felt the wrath of the stewards from last week. But hopefully we will see him again next week. And we do very much appreciate you joining us on the chat, Danny, and rooting for Emma in this one. So at least one of the Dempsey clan taking part tonight at Oulton Park. And indeed, everybody, do remember, if you are enjoying the stream, give us a like, that thumbs up there in front of you, give us a subscription, and of course chat is for subscribers only, so if you give us a subscription, that'll get you into the chat, and it'll also help us get the name out to other people, so you kind of, it's a win-win situation, really. Right, we're getting close towards the third part of this qualifying now. Some of the laps coming in already, and Jordan Kelly already by quite some distance to quickest with a 153.8. Nobody even breaking the 55 barrier at the moment. As Niall says, Sean will hopefully be back soon. Absolutely, hopefully indeed. He's a tough bit of stuff with Sean McClements. So hopefully we'll see him back very, very soon. Brother Dylan is the next fastest, 155.0 in the 5.2. Then Brandon McCann with a 155.092, and Oscar Mangan struggling a little bit by his circumstance. He's 155.2 with Evan Walsh in fifth. That is top five. Our last race winner from last week, Wayne Douglas, sits in sixth. So he is in a position to potentially capitalise. But Ronan, you talked about some of the carnage and some of the carnage even you saw yesterday in practice. This qualifying is really important, isn't it? Just to try and stay out of trouble as much as you can. And I suppose try and get that inside line into the opening corner is probably what you're looking for.
Absolutely, like getting an inside line on a majority of these corners, I think is going to be very important. But barreling this many cars into there in the wet will be the interesting part. I think there could be a few bumps. Like these cars will take a bump, which is quite nice for once, considering the majority of times when we have little taps in iRacing, you have kind of unexpected physics. But yeah, I think keeping this one clean going to be quite hard with the conditions. But yeah, let's hope for a clean one.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's indeed. And I suppose the thing about these touring cars is that they can take a small bit of punishments. You would hope that that will help. I would not want to imagine trying to race Formula V's through here in this weather and with the potential for disaster. Um, Noticed on the chat that Danny actually says that his sim is broken at the moment, so he won't be racing for the next 2 months. The monitor's gone on it sadly. Now, just saying, if you are on the market for sim gear or for any sim help, the person who I'm just speaking to right now might be able to give you a hand. Sim consultants, do check them out. They do a lot of great work. And Ronan, I believe that you can put you on the spot a little bit by getting this, but since I have the pleasure of your company this evening, I thought I'd ask you. Obviously, you guys are very much experts in the world of the sim, but I don't think you were dealing with some real life cars today, and not necessarily went to plan.
No, we had a double puncture picking up my drift car this evening. So big up to my business partner Rob King of Trackdays.ie fame for getting it all sorted and taking one for the team per se. But yeah, looking forward to get out drifting and none of this roundy stuff.
Well, yeah, I mean, some people would say that I suppose those who have a dim view of drift racing would say they'd rather see two punctured tires on every one of the cars that goes around, but I'm sure that that's not shared by people in the chat. But yeah, not necessarily doesn't always go to plan. But yeah, if you are in the room for it, then do check it out. Also, there is a logo on the top right hand corner of your screen. That is of, well, that's actually now Sim Consultants, unfortunately, but it was of Motorsport.ie as I opened that sentence. Always check to make sure the logos don't revolve when you start making a claim like that. But that is where you can check out all the latest Irish motorsport news. Leo Nulty does a great job there. Obviously, unfortunately, Irish motorsport in the headlines for a very tragic reason this weekend, and it would be very much remiss of me to not say a word on the tragic passing of Lauren O'Brien, who was racing in my home county of Cork, down in West Cork, down towards Inniskeen, taking part in qualifying for the Cork Autograss Racing Club, and unfortunately passed away. Very difficult time for everybody involved. And I noticed that there was a statement from the Autograss Racing Club Association who said, it's not just Lauren and her family, but it's the stewards, it's all the people who are attending, everybody there, has that toll on them. So, look, obviously the real racing, as we know, is dangerous stuff. That's why the sim is so great. We get to see the big accidents and pile-ups and the drama without any of the consequences. But just look, I'm sure there's people who are watching and there's people who are driving tonight who will, if not know them, will know somebody who knows them. It's a very tight-knit community, the Irish motorsport community, and just obviously our thoughts are with everybody related to Lauren, friends with Lauren, or who helped her on her motorsport journey and her journey in life. So just from all of us here at Gantry TV and from a Corkman myself, it's obviously a great tragedy, and just want to kind of bear her and her thoughts as we go through this evening. So Jordan Kelly tops the qualifying standings, and a massive gap to P2 by RTA standards. Normally we see the top 10 almost separated by a half a second, but here we're seeing 1.1 seconds separating Jordan Kelly and the rest of the field. Now Jordan's playing on the back foot a little bit in terms of this championship, but we could see a late rally in round 5, just to bear that in mind. So with 4 evenings left, this is the beginning of the second half of this season. So 4x3, 12 races in total, 12 heats in total, and all worth the same amount of points. So Jordan Kelly top the timings, then Gillian McClements, Brandon McCahan, Oscar Banger, Sean McGoldrick, Evan Walsh, Ronan Doherty, Wayne Douglas, Robbie Callan, Rory O'Shea. As the lights go out, and in Evan Dalton's terms, we go racing. at Oulton Park. And what a start already from Jordan Kelly. He really quick in qualifying, and he's quick off the line. He's being battled here by Dylan McClements, but very tidy stuff from the two of them going through the opening corner. As we see how they all pile down through Old Hall, seems to be pretty clean as of yet. Everybody really sticking to the code. Sean McGoldrick battles here with Dan Mould. Dan going round the outside, managing to make it stick. I think he does through Cascades. That's a great move from Dan Mould as we head down towards Island Bend for this opening lap. It's still side by side at Island, and that's not somewhere where you want to go side by side, but two of them managing to do it exceptionally well, Ronan Doherty and Sean McGoldrick. No, it's not Sean McGoldrick, it's Ronan Doherty and Brandon McGahan, should I say, sorry. Ronan Doherty was the one who made the pass earlier on, as Brandon is blinking a little bit, but thankfully causing no accidents as we head down towards the opening chicane here. Very tidy stuff though from everyone involved. Really excellent stuff given the conditions. It's not just a case of being conservative, but sometimes with all the best will in the world, accidents can still happen in this condition. So great stuff there. Dan Mould trying to go round the outside of Sean McGoldrick. There is a tap, as you would expect, and another one I should expect. There it is, as Dan tries to go outside to inside, but eventually Sean McGoldrick holding on to the place in the Duff Beer sponsored machine. But Dan's coming back at him now. He's going to have a go again down through Druid's Corner. So we're going left-hander here now through Water Tower. And will Dan do enough? He does. Great work from the 62 car, just sticking in there. And fairness to Sean McGoldrick, not causing any accidents. He didn't hang his nose in there for too long, and Dan Mould takes the position. But Ronan, very tidy start thus far. Some excellent racing, particularly given the conditions.
Yeah, that kind of start makes me proud. It makes me proud. That was great. Absolutely fantastic racing, and as clean as you can go. We've got a bit of spray in that, but like, to have that clean a start in these cars, excellent.
Really good stuff. Oh, as we just said, after somebody's gone sideways, that was Kevin Joyce in the background, going a little bit Tokyo drift, but thankfully in these TCR cars you can recover it. You just pin the throttle down and you can get away with it, as I think it was Kevin. No, it's Wayne Douglas. My apologies. Our winner from last week, Wayne Douglas, getting into all kinds of trouble, because I just see Kevin Joyce is actually in the Audi, the retro Audi liveried car, and he managed the up and under through Cascades to get the position. So good work there from Kevin, holding off, waiting for the mistake on Wayne Douglas, and instead of trying to stick it in straight away, just holding on. Now he's holding a bit of a train behind him as Robbie Callahan is way back, and in more contact between himself and Conor Milley, or it's not Conor Milley, it's Evan Walsh, and both of them going off. Robbie losing a couple of places here, so our championship leader in early struggles early on. Those two coming together, the Hyundai and the Honda of Evan Walsh, and not quite sure, neither of them really wanted to back off on that one, as we again go too wide. Brandon McGahan and Ronan Doherty. Ronan fighting for his life to stay within this championship, and he's gonna make that move stick for the moment. So once again, rubbing is racing, and the two of them showing that off to its greatest effect, as Brandon now coming under pressure from Dan Mould. Brandon's been an absolute battle since this race has begun. 3.5 minutes in, and I don't think Brandon has had a single corner to himself over the course of that 3.5 minutes. So McGahan in the 89 car, he's trying to hold off Dan Mould, our returning driver from a couple of years ago. Dan, who was extremely complimentary of the series and indeed of the racing in it, and he'll absolutely enjoy this battle, no doubt the both of them will. Some superb battling here in RTA, which is what we've come to expect from these guys over the course of the season. And in fairness to them, as Ronan said, despite the conditions, they're actually using it to their advantage. But all this now, as Brandon almost comes across the side of Dan, but managing to right himself, and Dan takes the opportunity to slip down the inside, and he's into 5th position now as Dan Mould. Up 6 places from where he began is Dan Mould in the 62 car. So Jordan Kelly leads, followed by Dylan McClements, and Oscar Mangan is up 1 place to P3. Ronan Doherty following him for P4. Then Dan Mould up 6 places, followed by Brandon McGahan, who's down 3. Sean McGoldrick down 2. Sean McGoldrick just overtaking Brandon McGahan, so Sean into 6th, Brandon in 2nd, and Rory O'Shea in 8th. Wexford native up 2 places into 8th position. Evan Walsh involved in some trouble. He is down now 11 places, going through, I think, that Shell Oil corner, coming into Shell Oil corner. And most notably for the championship, Robbie Callahan, down 5 positions into P14. So it's been a difficult start for the number 7 car as we continue this battle here. Brandon McGahan is just absolutely scrapping for his life. Sean McGoldrick behind him now. He's had to leave Dan Mould and Ronan Doherty by, but he's going to want to shut the door on Sean McGoldrick. Looking further up the front now, Ronan Doherty all over the back of the 99. A little tip, and I wondered did he clip a little bit the inside. It's hard to tell with that wiper going in front of us, but a little bit of a tip on the back of Oscar Mangan, who's a little bit off the pace by his standards. We've heard before from many of his competitors who love nothing more than to remind us that he does the setups for this car, so he should be rapid around here, including in the wet, of course, because as Ronan says, we've had the iRacing wet weather now for around about a year, and it should be in place for the guys who do the setups as well, so they should be well used to it. But a huge train now heading all the way back to Wayne Douglas, as you see on your screen in P9. Wayne's sticking a nose out, just trying to put off Rory O'Shea in front of him in the SRC High Prix Sim Race City liveried number 81 car, as Oscar Mangan now battling off Ronan Doherty. And this is an interesting battle because these two guys are both in championship contention, and it got very close there to a right rear corner collision there, but Wayne Douglas is going to get that move done on Rory O'Shea. We saw him lining it up earlier on, and he's just doing enough to hold out Rory, just opening up the corner for himself and pushing the number 81 car out wide, and he's going to hold on to that position as we head into minute number almost 7 of this 10-minute race in total. Only 4 laps in. We're only going to get about 5 laps, maybe 6 laps in total, probably 6 laps I would say in total here, as Ronan Doherty taking a different line altogether to Dan Mould, which means Dan ends up going into the back of him, but he doesn't quite have the same run as we head down towards the chicane here of Britain. So this is, as I said, 7, 8 and 9 here as we head into the latest lap. I'm just getting all my screens together in the one place in front of me. This is where a touchscreen monitor would be very useful for myself, but I managed to get it done. Dylan McClements holding up the train now, and look at that gap between himself and Dylan McClements. We've been talking about all the battling, but actually when you look at this race, one of the biggest stories is the lack of battling at the front. Dylan McClements 4.5 seconds behind, and he is holding up everybody behind him. Oscar Mangan is desperate to get past the number 88 Team DDR car, but Dylan did enough in qualifying to put himself in second place, so he absolutely has the right to the place, and he's still with an outside chance of this championship. This championship really seems to be opening up in the last couple of races, because we saw it was almost like a 3-horse race to begin with, but now with the likes of Robbie Callahan being down there, Oscar Mangan being behind, Jordan Kelly starting to storm back up the championship, it is starting to heat up massively. Thanks to everybody who got in touch on the comments, as Jamal and Johnny say, surprisingly clean, a great first lap, surely. So it is indeed, as Ronan Doherty making a mistake there, it looks like, in T1, and now he's going to be under pressure from Dan Mould. You can see Brandon McGahan now sending it down the inside of Dan. Dan was more looking in front of him, didn't have his eyes in the mirrors, and Brandon taking the opportunity of the 89 car to send it down the inside of Cascades. Now can he make it stick? It looks like Dan has the top line speed as we head through Island Bend. Once again, too wide. And Dan is going to dip a tyre there on the outside. He manages to hold on to him, but he does lose 2 places in the course that, and potentially a third as Wayne Douglas mounts a challenge. And that's what I said about Island Bend. Once he's go on the outside, especially in the wet weather with the marbles, very, very hard to keep your grip. And now we're going to see 2 go through the chicane. Let's see how this one works out. Sean McGoldrick just holding off and leaving Brandon through. It's very hard to see 2 going into 1 there. Very similar to the chicane in Donington GP where we raced earlier this season. And this is the onboard here from the dash of Sean McGoldrick's Veloster. No, the Elantra. The Elantra is the saloon car, I think. The Hyundai. And it is Hyundai versus Hyundai, because the both of them, I think, are in the saloon. They are indeed. Both of them are in the Elantra, so they should be fairly well matched here. The 24 and the 89 in this multi-car series. The first multi-car series that we've had in a while here on RTA. It seems to be a single-class league for the last while, as you look at Jordan Kelly, who almost looks like a lapped car. He's so far up the road. It almost looks like the leaders are closing on last place. But Jordan's going to go around once more, which is going to give us our final lap of this evening. Jordan could almost, and I not quite, but he could almost park on the finish line and wait for the checkered flag to be raised. No, I almost said the Fecker Jagler. Don't know what that is. The checkered flag to be waved, but he does have to keep going, does Jordan, but he's not going to worry about it. He's 6.5 seconds up the road as Sean McGoldrick now getting overtaken by Wayne Douglas, who's storming back Wayne after an early mistake going through that section of Old Hall Corner, losing a couple of places, but Wayne has come back into 6th position, so back where, no, 2 places up from where he started actually in this race, as Dylan going wide. That's going to be an X point for Dylan McClemens, but he's holding on to 2nd place, which is a superb drive from Dylan, in fairness to him. Like, this is so difficult as Oscar's really losing patience now. This is the last lap he can get it done. You can see both of them trying to go to the outside. Oscar's going to get caught up here. Will he get tagged by Brandon McGahan? Because Brandon's being pushed by Wayne Douglas. Wayne in turn is being pushed by Sean McGoldrick. They're all pushing each other through. Shallow, it's contact. Oscar Mangan turns around giant Ronan Doherty, and Ronan can't hold on to it. He takes both of them out. A little bit of karma there for Oscar, because he was the one who initiated the contact. Sean McGoldrick getting caught up, but that is Oscar, as Ronan rejoins almost into Peter McCann, who seems to be constantly caught up in that. Look at Sean McGoldrick, he's in the background, he's got caught up in amongst all the mess in there. There's so much going on there, and you could see the frustration and the desperation building. Ronan Doherty losing out. We'll have to look at the incident again, because we're going to wait and see Jordan Kelly cross the line, and hopefully we'll have an opportunity after that to check out the replay, as we see Jordan absolutely clear, home and hosed of all the madness that's going on behind him. Jordan must be wondering what's going on, because to win by 8.5 seconds is an extraordinary amount of time of what's been in a very competitive series thus far on a 10-minute race. But here is Jordan Kelly. He won race 1 last week. He won race 2 last week. He wins race 1 this week. Jordan Kelly by almost 8.5 seconds, winning the opening heat here as Dylan McClemens crosses the line in P2. A superb defensive drive from the young man, followed by Brandon McGahan, who slips into the podium late on after all that contact. Oscar Mangan finishing 4th, then Wayne Douglas in 5th, Evan Walsh in 6th, Dan Mould ends up finishing 7th despite his best efforts. Rory O'Shea in 8th, Sean McClemens in 9th, and Peter McCann getting a top 10 spot, slipping in there, Peter, and just about avoiding late contact. Do we have an opportunity, I'm not sure, to have a look at that replay between Ronan Doherty and Oscar Mangan? I think Ronan, yeah, here it is. So we're coming out of Shell Oil Turner, and Ronan comes back across the track a little bit, does he? It's just reset, unfortunately, the iRacing settings, but we might have a chat with either Ronan or Oscar if we can at the end of race 2, or maybe both together. They might talk us through. But anyway, as it stands, Heat 1 results, and these are provisional, of course, folks. We do have Stewart's inquiries afterwards. Jordan Kelly winning by 9 seconds ahead of Dylan McClemens. That is one of the largest gaps we've seen in any race. Then Brandon McCann in 3rd, Oscar Mangan in 4th, Wayne Douglas in 5th, Evan Walsh in 6th, Dan Mould in 7th, Rory O'Shea in 8th, Sean McClemens in 9th, Peter McCann in 10th. Then Robbie Callahan, our championship leader, or was championship leader in 11th, Kevin Joyce, Conor Melia, Ronan Doherty, Dara Halley, Finlay Melvin, Diarmuid Toomey, Cody Stack, Simon Hutchings and Andrew Murphy. And then there's more after that. Emma Dempsey, I believe, is down there as well. Indeed, she is. Dave Collier, 21. Dave Prunty in 22. Sean McGoldrick then in 23. So Sean must have been involved in X points to get that. As we head off in heat number 3, Emma Dempsey and Phillipson finishing at the back. But up the front, Jordan Kelly leads us off in a 9-second gap to begin with, ahead of Dylan McClemens. Now can McClemens once again put in a superb defensive effort? He's going to stick it in alongside Jordan Kelly. No fear in the young man as it's contact. It's Jordan Kelly being shoved out. It's a huge accident. Jordan Kelly, and a bit of crashing behind him as well. I can see somebody going off track. Dear Roy O'Shea caught up in that. Kevin Joyce caught up in that as well. As the two go wide, that's Evan Walsh being pushed out wide by Wayne Douglas, and he's going to have to rejoin. And a very, very tidy start in race 1, but not so tidy in race 2. Dylan McClemens sticking alongside Jordan Kelly, going into the side of the number 14 car. And Jordan Kelly, after such a good start, has had his race 2 dashed. And I was going to say, just as well I didn't, but I was on the verge of saying, the only thing that can stop Jordan now is an accident in race 1, or lap 1, because once he gets away from lap 1, he will be gone down the road. But it's happened, folks. Jordan Kelly involved. Dylan McClemens sticking it up the inside, and we'll have to see whether McClemens just ran out of grip or whether Kelly came back across him, but as it is, Oscar Mangan now finds himself in the lead. So from finishing 4th in the first race, Oscar very helpfully is in the lead as we go back and have a look at our RTA British Touring Car Championship replay. So great start by Kelly, but Dylan McClements got off to a good one as well, in fairness to him, and stuck right alongside the number 14 car. Now he is just about alongside, and yeah, that is on Dylan McClements. There's nowhere that Jordan Kelly could have gone there. Just Jordan took the normal line as best as he could, stuck around the outside, and Dylan just ran out of traction. And that understeer on cold tyres, heavy fuel, or heavier fuel at least, and indeed, of course, a wet line forced McClements out wide. So suspect the stewards to take action on that one. But as it stands, Oscar Mangan in first position. Now here is the man in the middle of that controversy, Dylan McClements, going down the inside, this time Robbie Callahan, but a little bit better this time from McClements in the 88 car. Doesn't get the move done, but at least he didn't take anybody out this time. Slots back in behind Robbie Callahan, who's making some good gains as Callahan. He had a disappointing opening race, but he still has time to make this back, as Wayne Douglas has had an incident and he's falling back down through the field. Is Douglas. We saw him have an incident at the same lap in the opening race, so lap 2 hasn't been kind to him thus far, as Dan Mould in 3rd position at the moment in the Sim Racing League car, coming over to us on a kind of a guest appearance. Kind of reminds me when you see, Scottish referees occasionally refereeing League of Ireland matches. It's kind of like a it's kind of like a guest for the season, and then whether we'll see him again or not for the next couple of seasons. Hopefully we will, because he's been a great addition to this championship. As Ronan Doherty now trying to make his way back through the field. Ronan in 12th position. He started in 14th. He's up 2, but that's not enough for Ronan, and he has Wayne Douglas at the back of him. So here are 2 championship contenders battling for P12. That's not something I thought I'd say this early on this evening, but as it has turned out to be, very disappointing for Ronan, who was caught up in that instant in the opening race with Oscar Mangan. Here is Oscar Mangan, speaking of the number 99 car, resuming first place. We didn't get a chance to look at that instant in its entirety, but as I said, hopefully we'll have a chance to talk to Oscar about the incident, and Oscar's very fair. Oh, big accident there! Huge Evan Walsh coming across and sticking into Dan Mould, and great avoidance there by Robbie Callan, but not. The same can't be said for Dara Halley in the 802 car, who slams into the back of Evan Walsh, and that is how you end 2 races, ladies and gentlemen. And as I said earlier, thank God we're not talking about real life. No cuts or scratches or bruises or anything worse for either of those guys. But look at this man, Peter McCann. We talked absolutely defying what I was saying to him earlier, taking the mickey out of him for his rain driving, and here he is driving in P3. So up yours, Kevin, says Peter McCann as he drives past and manages to hold on to that P3. He has a gaggle of cars behind him, including Sean McClements, Robbie Callahan and Dylan McClements, who finished P2 in the opening race. But Peter McCann is currently in 4th position, because he's going to be overtaken here most likely by Sean McClements. But Peter McCann doing great work here, the Laois native, exiled in the beautiful county of Mayo. We won't talk too much about last weekend for Peter McCann's sake. If he is a Mayo fan, to be honest, I don't think Peter McCann gives a tuppeny either way about Gaelic football, but we have to say something to keep the stream relevant and to make sure that we can date it when we go back on our list. So last Sunday was the Connacht football final, and indeed the Munster football final. So for Tony Stack, it was a good weekend, as his Kerry beat Clare quite handsomely in that one. And not so good for the boys of Mayo, who lost out. And that's Wayne Douglas, not so good for him either. A taparoo. And Wayne is going left, right and all over the place, but manages to hold on to it. Good work from Wayne again, because you have the bollards there, the tyre barriers as well on the inside of those corners to avoid. So good stuff from Wayne Douglas. But yeah, a little bit of a I can't think of the name of the movie now. Why do these things escape me when I quite literally look from a Happy Gilmore moment there as he gets turned around, but managing to hold on to it. Ronan Doherty now, he is up 7 places. We were tracking him earlier on. He was battling for P12 with Wayne Douglas, but he's gotten the better of that battle, has Ronan Doherty, and he's fighting for what was back in the day in F1 the opening point slot in 6th position. Brandon McGahan gone into the pit lane. I wonder, is that an instant point for Brandon? I'm not quite sure. He did get caught up in some early incidents earlier on and I'm not sure whether he may have potentially gotten a 4X as part of that big collision between Dan Mould and Evan Walsh. We didn't get a chance to go back and look at that, but there's been so much racing going on at the moment. We haven't really had the chance, so we might do once this battle comes to its conclusion. Dylan McClements in fourth behind Peter McCann. So what you're looking at now is the battle for P2, ladies and gentlemen. Oscar Mangan doing a Jordan Kelly. He's 4.5 seconds up the road and quite comfortably at that. But as we see Dylan McClements trying to join his brother. Oh, Dylan goes, Sean goes wide. Peter follows him. Dylan tries to go down the inside, but realises it's a avenue that's always going to close, and that Peter McCann is also directly involved in running the series. So I think discretion is the better part of valor there for Dylan, who doesn't want to get banned for a second series in a row, and manages not to take out our Kaiser, Chief, and Gestapo. I mean, Great One, Peter McCann, and stays out of trouble for the moment. So Peter in the number 20, taking back that third position. Ronan, it's been ferocious, it's been frenetic, it's been massively entertaining.
This is oh my god, BTTC Racing. Oh my god. Anyway,
BTCC.
You know what I mean. It's British touring cars at Oulton Park. This is exactly what we wanted. Oh wow, Jesus Christ. That is Robbie Callahan.
Robbie Callahan.
Way off.
That is Ronan giving us a glimpse into what goes into a commentator's mind. When we say there's an accident, what we're actually thinking is that. But Robbie goes off in the gravel and goes down. Not been a great night for Robbie, for our championship leader, Ronan.
No, and you know what? To be honest, when I checked the championship standings after the racing last week, if you want to check it out on RTA Motorsport.com, seeing Robbie at the top was a surprise. But again, his consistency over the season has been so good. But it's a bit strange to see him so far down. Potentially the rain is impacting on him. One of the other things I've noted here as well is I feel like anyone that is doing overtakes in some of the corners are probably at the mercy of the actual rain physics that has been added to iRacing as well. So obviously, offline should be in theory in the wet the better line, and anyone trying to make some form of overtake is suffering then as a consequence. And I'm starting to see people squirrely through these overtakes. I don't know if you've seen it yourself, Kevin.
Yeah, it's definitely been a feature, and it is. I mean, it's a fantastic extra kind of thing to have. It's another thing for the drivers to think about, and we don't run rain races very often. We do one about once a season now, but they always prove to be extremely entertaining. And as the drivers get more comfortable with rain, we're seeing better racing every single time we go back and do this type of thing. I think, Ronan, you were confusing the British Touring Car Championship with the British Touring Tuk Tuk Championship. Not as well known, just as entertaining, but unfortunately does have to take place on smaller tracks due to fuel limitations.
There's something I want to see.
Yeah, iRacing, get Tuk Tuks. That is the next thing we need to get. I would love to see the iRacing team go down to a taxi rank in the middle of Old Delhi and with a laser scanner and start laser scanning tuk-tuks just to see what the reaction is. I would say it would make the Hindustan Times, I would say it would make the front page of that paper for about a week. Anyway, I digress from all things Indian because we are on the other side of the continent, and unfortunately India, after the Grand Prix left, hasn't really any recognisable racetracks. This, however, the county of Cumbria and indeed the country of England has plenty of them. And of course, we are in the 5th round here, if you've just joined us, of an 8-round championship. Now, we'll go through the calendar a little bit later on once we get to the end of this race. But our championship leader appears to be Oscar Mangan provisionally, given where he is thus far. But this man on your screen now, Ronan Doherty, is making a very strong claim. Ronan, he's a multiple-time RTA champion. I think he regained his throne as he tries to go down the inside of Peter McCann. Didn't quite make that one stick. He's going to stick alongside him, though, is Ronan, allowing him the line through the chicane, but he's going to stick with him on his bumper. I believe it's so long ago. I mean, it's so funny how these seasons come and go, and you're right in the middle of the season, and then once the season ends, you completely forget about it. But as far as I remember, Ronan did take back his throne of RTA champion last season. I'm open to correction on that one, which is terrible considering I commentated on 7 of the 8 races, including the championship finale. So you would imagine that I'd remember that, but my brain has just gone to mush today. Ronan is, rapidly becoming the most decorated driver in RTA history, and is certainly has his eyes on the prize in terms of this championship. So great opportunity for some of these drivers as well, given the mistakes that others are making, to make up some real gains in this championship. So Ronan will be targeting a good finish as Conor Millier goes into the back of Wayne Douglas. Wayne over slowing a little bit for Conor, and him bouncing into the back of Wayne Douglas, but manages to keep his Hyundai on the road. The Martini type liveried number 56 for Conor Millier. As we look at David Prunty now, this is we were having a quick look. This is a battle for the Beat Championship. Of course, we do have a Beat Championship running. I think Finlay Melvin, I think, is the best positioned in that one in this race thus far. Finlay Melvin, then I think Tony Stack, and then Dave Collier, with Dave Prunty getting ahead here of Simon Hutchings. So all of these guys are battling for the B Championship. I'm just going to give you a quick insight as to where we are in terms of the B Championships. Coming into it, Dave Collier was leading ahead of Finlay Melvin. But Melvin now has the lead on Collier, despite him being in 13th position. So a good opportunity for Finlay Melvin to start making up some points here. No Jacob Hobbs this week, but Simon Hutchings is there, as is David Prunty, Emma Dempsey and Phil Upson and Andrew Murphy. So these are the top 8 in terms of that championship. And really, you're talking from anything from Simon Hutchings up, still have a realistic chance of winning this championship. So keep an eye out for Dave Collier, Finlay Melvin, Jacob Hobbs and Simon Hutchings for the rest of the championship, which means you only have to keep an eye on Dave Collier, Finlay Melvin and Simon Hutchings in terms of this evening, with Jacob Hobbs not there. We're looking on board with Wayne Douglas. He is in running for the A Championship. He came into this evening in 10th position, but not 100 he's 100 points off, but he's not a million miles away nonetheless, and he still has an opportunity. We're only halfway through the season, remember, folks, so there's still opportunity for things to switch and turn as Ronan Darty tries to move down the inside of his Team DDR teammate, but rival Dylan McClements, and Dylan opening the door a little bit there for Ronan. I think he's kind of letting him through, knowing that he has the speed difference. Dylan off the back of a superb second place finish already in race 1 as Wayne Douglas tries an aggressive move down the inside late, a day late, but not $1 short for Wayne, who manages to keep it on track but doesn't quite get the move done. Number 11 putting all sorts of pressure on the young McClements, but now going slightly wide. And I was talking about the camber of that corner earlier on. You need to be in nice and tight as Wayne manages to recover to get back on the inside of that corner here at that's a move down the inside through Island Bend. A little bit of a bump that's going to send Dylan McClements out into the grass, and McClements going to fight for his life now to try and keep his Elantra on the track. He does so, but loses out in the position. That is, I think it's fair to say, Ronan, that Wayne Douglas was taking that position no matter what.
Yeah, I think the one thing that we're learning here very fast is how important the line is to the majority of these corners, especially in the wet. Like, Oulton is a line track, let's be completely honest there, but in the wet, to take an opportunity like that, get it in early, know that the corner's up ahead, not force him wide, but he's actually, in this wet condition, he's probably at the mercy of Wayne there straight away.
No, massive battle for second place. We're going to keep an eye on Oscar Mangan, because he's going to bring us across the line for the end of this second heat. But here, as he goes down now, I think this is through Druids Bend. It is. So let's have a look at the battle for second as we're waiting for Oscar to cross the line, because it is all go. Sean McGoldrick had a late challenge there from Ronan Darty through the second chicane section, but managing to hold off, and now he has half a second gap as Oscar Mangan goes up over the hill and reclaims the lead of the championship. Oscar Mangan, I think, with the win in race 2, DeC's part of firm in the opening lap, and he wins by 8.5 seconds, a very similar time to what we saw in the first race. And Sean McClements, after what's been a hugely disappointing week for Sean in the real world, has a little bit of retribution in the sim. McClements finishing second in the second race this evening, and Ronan Darty coming in third position. So good consolidation for Ronan, as Wayne Douglas, after all that battling and hammering, finishes fourth. Dylan McClements in fifth. Peter McCann in sixth. A great drive from Peter there, in fairness, in the number 20 car. He was in third or second at one position, but at one point, but it was always going to be very difficult for him to hold on to that. Conor Melia in seventh. Sean McGoldrick in eighth. He'll be disappointed. He ended up getting caught up very early on in that instant as well, and going down the back. Then Kevin Joyce in ninth. Finlay Melvin in 10th. Diarmuid Toomey, Tony Stark, Robbie Callan, David Prunty, Simon Hutchings, Emma Dempsey, Phil Upson, and Andrew Murphy across the line thus far. Now, look at this man, Brandon McGahan. He is fifth going into this championship. He had a very good result in race one, but he's only crossing the line. And this man, Jordan Kelly, who will be ruining Dylan McClement's decision to go up the inside of the opening corner, he crosses the line to finish in P20. Very disappointing for the Donegal man after a great opening race, as Dave Collier is just chilling. Do you know what Dave Collier looks like? Dave Collier looks like a Garda that's waiting for you to go back with the speed camera. He's perched behind that wall, but you know the speed camera can see over the top of it. You can't see him until it's too late. Dan Mould managing to go around. He's 2 laps behind, unfortunately caught up in some instance. So like Brandon McGahan, Jordan Kelly, Dan Mould, these are all guys in the top 10 that have finished way out of the position. So it does shake things up, Ronan, as we head into the final race.
Yeah, chaos. Chaos is the only thing we can talk about there. But again, to be expected in the BTTC. Got it. Got it that time. Happy
No,
with
that's the British
it.
touring tuck championship, the BTCC.
Yes.
But
BTP. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Let me stammer on that. But yes, again, excellent race, and we're gonna have an interesting one for the finale because we've got a Sean McGoldrick starting out front, and he's been strong all season. So I'll let you run through the results.
yeah, so Oscar Mangan first, Sean McClements second, Ronan Darty third, Wayne Douglas fourth, Dylan McClements in fifth, followed by Peter McCann and Conor Melia and Sean McGoldrick. So take that top 8, swap it round. So your opening 4 or the opening 2 rows will be Sean McGoldrick, Conor Melia, Peter McCann, Sean McClements, Wayne Douglas, Dylan McClements, Sean McGoldrick, Conor Melia, Peter McCann, 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 Sean McGoldrick. Jordan,
Apologies,
I
folks.
think it's fair to say we're waiting to see if we have an update on the standings for the rest of the drivers. Here we go. It is Dave Collier, Rory O'Shea, Dan Mould, Evan Walsh, and Dara Halley. So that is where we are with the second round, and I believe it's going to be an opportunity now for us to speak to some of those drivers who finished further up on the podium. So I am joined by Oscar Mangin. Oscar, I suppose a bit of a disappointing opening race for you, but a great fight back in the second one.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm creating a narrative here against Ronan, but the way we keep coming together, and I really I'm gonna send him a message. I don't know what happened there. I wasn't trying anything, and just pace is off anyway today, and Jordan is absolutely flying. It's a shame what happened to him out of turn 1 there. So I guess we'll just see what happens in race 3, but it'll just be about just staying out of trouble this time.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's easier said than done when you're kind of in a one-line track and with uh, like it's a tight track. You're in the rain, and it's a one-line track as well. So how are you finding, like, is this it? I suppose the rain probably affects a track like this much more so than other tracks we race on this year.
Yeah, I think the long wheelbase cars are quick. Jordan is absolutely flying and kind of making a mockery of us space wise, but yeah, I think it's just I'm just not happy with the low speed cornering is just horrendous every time any other cars behind me. I just seem to be able to I just lose like 2-3 tenths every time. So yeah, just have to keep it on the road and just stay out of trouble and just try and grab a few more points.
Can you talk us through just that a little bit of that incident between yourself and Ronan, or at least what did you see from your point of view?
Um, well, he came around the outside and he was behind Dylan, and I completely was just following the line. I wasn't trying, like, he had the inside line into the chicane, so I hadn't a chance, and I was just kind of attempting to. I was happy to slot in behind him, and I guess I just moved slightly left, and he moved slightly right, and we came together. But I have to look at it again. I think I might have crossed back over the middle of the circuit, and it's probably on me if that's the case. But yeah, just didn't want that to happen at all. I was completely happy to sit in behind him and let him get ahead. He got the move done.
Yeah, it's a pity because just as we were coming to the point of the instant, the session changed over and we kind of lost the reinstant replay. But I'm sure the stewards will have an opportunity to look back on it. Okay, perfect. Other than that, Oscar, thank you very much for joining us. I'm going to rattle through some interviews before we get into the next race. But thanks for talking us through it, and best of luck in race 3.
Thanks, guys.
So thanks very much for Oscar Mangan for that. A little bit of insight in that accident. I'm not sure how much time we have now for the rest of the interviews, but we'll try and get as many in as we can. We have Sean McClemens. So let's have a chat with Ronan Doherty altogether while we can get both of them in. So first of all, I'll come to Sean in a second because I want to wish him congratulations and condolences in the same breath, which is an unusual thing to say. But Ronan, we just spoke to Oscar there about that incident between you two. Like, can you talk through it from your point of view?
Yeah, I went around the outside of Oscar at Shell Oil. I think that was me up in the second or second. I can't remember, but then we just came together and I went around. To be honest, my replay system isn't working on iRacing, so I can't even go back and look and see who was at fault or whatever. But yeah, it is what it is. About 14th, but went 14th for third in the second race, so worked out all right.
Yeah, and look, you're starting in, so that's 6th. That makes you 6th for the final race, so you still have an opportunity to make some good gains here.
Yeah, I'll give it a crack and can happen.
Okay, so I'm going to hold on to Sean McClemens just very, very, very quickly, Sean. And first of all, congratulations on a really good second place, sorry, in the in the second race. But look, talk to me a little bit about this week. Obviously, very disappointing news that you won't be real life racing. Like, when did you kind of know that you were kind of beyond the point of no return?
Ah, yeah, it was unfortunate. Now we sort of looked at the car and sort of seen what sort of budget we had left and what we had to do to fix the car, and the car is too far gone to repair, so it'll just be start from the start again. So, well, unfortunately, but just with time and budget, it'll take us too long to get ready to get back out this year.
So all the focus on sim racing.
Oh yeah, completely, yeah.
Right. So I look, John, best of luck in the final race. Thanks again for joining us. Let you grid there. I just see you popping in there. So thanks a million for joining us. Talk to you soon. Yeah, so I didn't want to hold these guys up too long because literally Sean is out of the interview room and on the starting grid as we go 4 lights, 5 lights, 0 lights, and we are racing here for the final time at Oulton Park as Sean McGoldrick already overtaken by Conor Melly. It's an awful start from McGoldrick, who's being overtaken left, right and centre. He missed the memo there and he is pushed out to the outside as he's down to 5th position now, Sean McGoldrick. A disastrous start, but look who's in the lead. Conor Melia coming back as we see a massive crash in the background. That's Brandon Toomey, that's Andrew Finlay Melvin is our B Series champion. Oh, another big one. That's Evan Walsh. Evan Walsh getting caught up, and I'm not sure who that is in the background. It's a black car. Who it is? Oh, and that's almost taking out somebody else, Evan Walsh. I'm not sure who that was. I don't want to put anything on anybody until I get a chance to look back on it. But Devon Walsh, a really unfortunate evening for the Clonmel man because he was showing pace in qualifying, but 2 massive accidents now he's been involved in almost the exact same position. But look, it's Peter McCann trying to mount the challenge on Conor Melia. Behind him is Dylan McClemens, then Wayne Douglas, then Sean McGoldrick. Oh, massive accident. Robbie Callan again. Oh, what a disastrous evening it is for Robbie Callan. I can see the Hyundai of Andrew Murphy involved in that as well. We're going to have to go back and look at some serious incidents here, folks. Hopefully the drivers give us an opportunity, but it's half the grid is almost out at this point. Sean McClemens, should I say, gets pushed wide by Sean McGoldrick, who's gotten off to an awful start as McGoldrick. He will be kicking himself for that start as he now goes too wide through with Ronan Doherty. Ronan Doherty and Oscar Mangan caught up at an instant, in a very similar position, but both of them getting through cleanly here on the opening lap of what has already been a frenetic final race this evening. Massive accident there on the way through Island Bend. My suspicion is that somebody ran wide and maybe ended up bowling into some other cars in the attempt of trying to avoid the tyre barrier there, excuse me. as my own body starts to malfunction just based through the sheer stress of watching this. Peter McCann is under pressure massively from Dylan McClemens, and we're going to have a look at that replay in a second, folks, once we can get it, but we're just going to get it for you as soon as we can, and once we see this start to bear its teeth out, because we'll start to see some separation as we get through the laps here. But Dylan McClemens all over the back of Peter McCann, and look at that, Wayne Douglas putting in a massive challenge as Wayne Douglas. He's a huge overspeed on the top of Dylan McClemens. So Wayne looking at these two battling, and he's seeing an opportunity for himself, and there it is presenting itself right as I say it. Dylan McClemens getting caught up of the back of Peter McCann, having to put on the brakes, and that allows Wayne to go round the outside, doing his best Slim Shady impression is Wayne Douglas. Now he's going to have to stick it to the inside to make this one work, as Dylan has the overspeed round the outside. Dylan's going to try and go around Peter McCann. He's battling, and McCann is holding him off here in the track day logo liveried car. He forces Dylan McClemens off the track, but McClemens managing to stay on, and now he has the inside line heading into this chicane complex. He does get that done. That's good work from Dylan McClemens, sticking with it, staying patient, getting the move done. It's the kind of driving we're used to seeing from the 88 as we head down on this second lap. So Oscar is in a bit of a sandwich here. He's Ronan Doherty behind. He's Wayne Douglas in front. They all start to accordion as they head down towards the Hislops section and down through Knickerbrook, down towards Clay Hill. And we see already Robbie Callahan. What a disastrous evening it's been for Robbie Callahan. He's been so consistent, as Ronan said earlier. He's so consistent over the course of this series, but sometimes you can just be in the wrong place at the wrong time, and there's nothing you can do about it. As Wayne Douglas now mounting a challenge on Peter McCann, and a bit of a hip check there on Peter McCann by Wayne Douglas, getting the move done. Absolutely no love lost there between those two, as Wayne Douglas getting the move on Peter McCann, and that opens the door now for not only Oscar Mangan but also Ronan Doherty to slip through. And all of a sudden Peter, who found himself in second position, he's now gone back and he's gone into the pits as Peter McCann. I'm not sure if that's for instance or if he is sustained some damage, could potentially be damage. We're not entirely sure. If we have an opportunity, let's go back and have a look at that massive incident that sees our man who was championship leader coming into this, spending most of the rest of this evening in the pits. So let's have a look at it. We're heading down, remember, out of Cascades. We're coming into the Island Bend. So Robbie Callahan going side by side with who I think is Jordan Kelly there. And he goes out wide, he tips him, he comes back, he takes out Jordan Kelly, hits off the barrier, and then comes back across the track. And it's Andrew Murphy coming in at a rate of knots there, knocking off the front bumper of his Renault car. Just Robbie just losing it there on the outside, trying to overtake Jordan Kelly. But once again now, Jordan involved instantly. You can see him, he's in the pits. Very frustrating evening for Jordan, Ronan, because as Oscar said in the interview, he has had a massive pace, but he just hasn't been able to show it in race 2 or race 3.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think Jordan has had good results in rainy weather. I think it's always been kind of his Achilles heel. But again, if he's looking for a championship fight, he's going about it the wrong way.
Interesting. I mean, we've seen overtakes happen there. We've seen cars go by side. This is where that's a big move by Wayne Douglas. Wayne is getting very shirty now with some of these drivers, and Oscar Mangan taking evasive action, and that was Oscar had to take evasive action there to avoid colliding into the back of Wayne Douglas, who is very aggressively driving here, went straight into the side of Conor Melia, and there is a line there, and that's what I was coming to. The line, this is like, you obviously, Ronan, have a lot more experience driving on tracks than I do. Like, I have zero experience driving on tracks, so it wouldn't be hard. But from what it looked like to me, it looked like it was a kind of a fair enough battle that Robbie he just got pushed to the outside, and it was a bit of a race against the that's a big send by Sean McGoldrick down the inside, Brandon McCann and Sean McGoldrick, and he forces McGoldrick out wide as well. There's a lot of pushing to pass here going on, and the stewards will not look kindly on this. You can see McGoldrick flashing his lights. He's not at all happy about how Brandon got that move done. Not so much the send on the initial part of it, but certainly ran out of room in corner and used Sean McGoldrick as a bit of a buffer there. But I would have said all's fair in love and racing there in terms of Jordan Kelly. He was down the inside, he had the line, he just forced Robbie out wide, but you sense that perhaps maybe hold off and take him on a different part of the track?
Yeah, like when you're at the pointy end, I suppose it's like any opportunity, you're going to try and take it. But again, in a braking zone with kind of that kind of a tap, it's always going to result in tears. So, you know, it's either take the risk or plow on. But at the pointy end, these guys are going to take the risk, aren't they?
Well, I suppose if you don't take the risk, then you end up if you're not the hunter, you're the hunted sometimes.
Correct.
And if you don't take the opportunity, you're going to find somebody else will. So sometimes it is a very, very difficult one to know. And you know that I've criticized drivers on here before in terms of being overly aggressive when a championship is on the line. But it is interesting. I suppose every case is slightly different. Now, speaking of Brandon McCann, he's not made a lot of friends in terms of Sean McGoldrick, but he has made 15 places now. He's up to P4. He's made a move on Ronan Doherty. Quite clearly has a huge amount of pace. Now, we heard Oscar Mangan saying earlier that the long-wheeled base cars, aka the Audi and the Elantra, are the ones to have in this weather, as that's definitely going to be an off-track for Ronan Doherty. I know you can go wide there, but not quite that wide. But Brandon is up 15 places. Dan Mould up 13 places to P10, and Dara Halley up 13 places as well to P12. So some big climbers over the course of this feature race. We're only 8.5 minutes in. I'll have to see if whether my voice survives for the next 11 minutes. It's entirely dependent on how many incidents we actually do have, as Ronan tries to send it around the outside. I know that's Conor Melia going wide. He's going to test my voice because Conor Melia, he is gone wide. He's opened the door there. Wayne Douglas has stepped through. Brandon McGann wants to do the same, but Brandon, he's already made 15 places. Don't throw it all away now, Brandon. You have to be smooth here in the 89 car. A little bit of a touch from behind from Ronan Doherty, who, as I said, all's fair in love and racing. If you want to send it, you got to be prepared that other people are going to send it on you as well. Ronan, he is not really so much in the fight that he wanted to be. He tries to take a line that Brandon just shuts the door on him. There's a little bit of contact, but nothing more than that. Still very tight here. Unlike what we saw last time round, where there was one car disappearing down the lead, Dylan in race one was like the train that was holding up everybody else. Now he's a second ahead, and Wayne could potentially, if he stays error free, could potentially mount a challenge on Dylan. It's interesting to see. We have 10 minutes left. Do you, as Wayne Douglas, fight it out? Do you try and hold up the field and make sure that you finish second? Or do you allow somebody like a Brandon McGann, maybe, who's gone up through the field, who clearly has pace, go ahead of you and try and pull yourself back to Dylan McClements and then see how it all shakes out in the last couple of laps?
If you're Wayne Douglas, you can already see, look at the timing tree, he's pulling pace on Dylan, and we saw Dylan hold up, like you said, in race one. So Dylan needs to get the skates on and get moving if he's going to get away from Wayne, because Wayne has serious pace. And as we said it, Brandon McGaughan now open to third. He is absolutely motoring up the road here, and Ronan right behind him too. So I don't know. I think Wayne is going to keep pushing here, because it looks like, if I know anything, Brandon and Ronan are going to basically pull each other back with racing each other. So you never know.
Well, it is all set up for a fascinating second half of this feature race. Sponsored, of course, by Motorsport.ie. Thanks so much for their partnership. This is the RTA British Touring Car Championship Round 5. My apologies for not getting to your comments so far. It's been an absolutely massively incident-filled race, so I'm sure you can accept my apologies for that. I will come back to them. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten about all of you who are watching it. If you are watching it, if you do want to chat, remember, subscribe, and you will have the opportunity to do that. Now, here's Oscar Mangan mounting a challenge on Conor Melia. He's got the job done here as Oscar Mangan, so he's into 5th position, and he's going to try and put pressure on Ronan Doherty. Just 2 seconds down the road, but with that gap release now, Oscar will be able to show it as we see Wayne Douglas is going to try and move around the outside of Dylan McClements, but he's got it all kinds of wrong as Wayne Douglas. He goes way too far wide, and look at this. Brandon McCann, he started P19. He is now in P2 coming down the road, and Ronan, if Brandon can get this done, he must be able to shout a driver of the day as Wayne Douglas loses it. Oh, that's a great move from Wayne to try and hold on to it. We saw him make that exact same mistake in race 1, and Wayne, having been in prime position, 2 corners in Lodge and Old Hall, he's thrown it all away.
Yeah, you're just wondering there with the little kind of squirrely moves, did he just overheat the tires slightly, and that's just caused him to make all kinds of mistakes. But yeah, look at Brandon now. He's absolutely bulling up the road behind Dylan, and Dylan is going to be under some serious pressure here.
Yeah, massive pressure as Dylan, and there's no worse feeling than being in the lead and knowing it's only a matter of time before you get called up into it. It's a bit like, I always think of it as being like a rider that goes out early in a stage of the Tour de France, and you can just see the peloton starting to close back in as he goes too early, and it's only an inevitability that he's going to start getting overtaken. But he's going to put up a fight here, Dylan McClements. He did it in race 1. He's going to try and do it in race 2. He has the same machinery as Brandon McCann. Now, they're all on different setups, so might be slightly faster and slower in different sections, but they are in the same machinery. So it'll be interesting to see where Brandon makes gains here on Dylan, because he certainly is making gains. But Brandon, unfortunately for his sake, not only is he making gains on Dylan, but he's dragging everybody else with him. So he's Ronan Doherty and Wayne Douglas, who are set to be poised. If these two get into a battle, they're only licking their chops, waiting for an opportunity. And here is the move from Brandon. He's gone down the inside here of Druitt's corner. The second the double right-hander, a little bit of a touch. He stayed down the inside here, and Brandon knows he's going to have the inside for the final corner here at Lodge. If he can keep on the brake pedal latest, they get down, he squeezes him through, he takes the inside line, he gets through. Brandon McCann, 18 places, he's up into first position. What a drive from the 89 car, one of the drives of the season here in the wet weather at Oulton Park. We talked about this as a single line racing track. We talked about it as being difficult for overtaking. Well, Brandon McCann has absolutely crumpled up that throttle and threw it into a paste paper basket as Ronan Doherty bumping and bashing with Ronan Dylan. And that was almost disaster for the Team DDR cars, and Ronan isn't running the DDR livery still, so maybe the teammates have gone out the window as Wayne Douglas tries to mount a chance on the inside of Island Bend. He's now swapped to the outside, but he's not going to make that work either, and Dylan McClements is under massive pressure. He's doing his best to try and stay up at Ronan to try and see if his cousin can pull him through, but Wayne Douglas, the Brit, is absolutely putting a massive amount of pressure on and trying to make Dylan McClements' life as difficult as he possibly can. Oscar Mangan hovering in the background there as well, so he is in very much in with the championship shake, is Oscar Mangan, and he talked about just staying out of trouble in the last interview, so maybe that'll define how he approaches this last 5 minutes. But as it stands, Brandon McCann is half a second up the road. Oh, as Wayne Douglas goes wide there, Wayne just about holding on there, and Wayne has had so many squirrely moments this evening. It's a wonder that he's managed to position himself where he has. He's actually done really well results wise, but he's just been absolutely in the wars despite that. So Oscar, he's watching him with quite a lot of worry. I think Oscar's anxiety. If you put a heart rate monitor on him, I suspect it's higher, and now even higher as Oscar goes down the inside, tries to make the move on Wayne Douglas. Wayne tried to get the move done in the exact same spot for the lead. He's flashing his lights. He's doing everything he can. Oscar just easing him out, and in that Honda, he gets the move done, but he's not quite finished. I'm going to come back to your thought, Ronan, in 2 seconds, because Wayne is sticking his foot in it. He's going to try and battle back the position. He's not happy at all about how that happened, and I'm not sure if Oscar let him back past, if there was some issue about how that overtake took place, as that's a little clip from McGoldrick on Kevin Joyce, and another one, McGoldrick says, "Take that," and Joyce says, "Take that back." And they continue that battle down towards Cascades. Down the inside line as Kevin Joyce. Now, we have an opportunity to take a breath. Ronan, you have a theory about Wayne Douglas?
I have a feeling that Wayne Douglas' push to pass aggression has resulted in him towing the line of the incident points. Your thoughts?
Very, very likely. 15 points, of course, we have for a drive-through. 20 points for a DQ, but at this point, a drive-through in the championship is almost as bad. So you could be right here. Wayne just might be having to toe the line a little bit. He might be, 1 or 2 X points off drive-through, which would absolutely destroy his chances of a good result in the final race. And that's one of the good things here about RTA. Is the 15x instant points does allow for a little bit of room, but not too much. Can't take the mickey here in this championship, or you will be put in the sin bin. So yeah, very interesting theory. Now, have an opportunity to have a look at some of the comments finally. Thank you to Jamal Gandor and Johnny Hollywood. Johnny who nominates Jamal, which is an incredible feat given that Jamal didn't even race this evening. Maybe driver. I was gonna say something, but I won't go there. But yeah, Jamal nominates Brandon McGahan, and it's very hard to see past Brandon, isn't it, Ronan, given the performance he's put in this final race?
Yeah, like absolutely unbelievable drive from Brandon. Like, I think he just completely sees exactly where he needs to be in the wet here, and he's absolutely capitalized on it. As we see Wayne make another move on Dylan, and he's just about through. Maybe my theory was wrong, because that was a very push-to-pass type move.
Yeah, maybe not. Interesting, because Wayne is... Oh, that's contact. Big contact. Oscar Mangan once again. He was talking about staying out of trouble. He finds himself in trouble, unfortunately. And Dylan McClements is the one that loses out. Little touch there as they go down through Cascades on what's going to be the penultimate lap here at Oulton Park. As now Sean McGoldrick's trying to cash in on that. Pardon the pun. As he tries to take the position from Dylan McClements, but not quite happening from the 88 car. Another massive incident involving Oscar Mangan, and he was talked about not having a narrative, but we will have a look at that incident and see, because everyone wants to know. Sim Racing stewards, you can see at the contact has gone. Oh, that's Sean McGoldrick, massive, and he's going to hit the... No, he's not. I was fully sure that he was going to hit the inside of that barrier. He managed to stay out of it. That was very untidy from both Dan and Sean. Dan has been in absolutely the wars. As you can see, Dara Halley, who unfortunately had his last race ended when he went head first into an oncoming collision. And once again, a tap between the two of those. Very robust racing. But Ronan, I think you're right. I think a lot of these drivers are testing the limits of this instant count. Now, it is interesting because how many of these will actually count as instant points and how many of them will go down as 0x's, I'm not quite sure. As Dylan opened the door there for Sean McClements, I think, and let him through, or Sean McGoldrick, should I say, sorry, and let him through, it seemed anyway. Seemed very easy from what we've seen so far. So maybe your theory could also apply to Dylan McClements, because there's quite a few drivers here, I imagine, are very much on the borderline.
I would say they are absolutely towing it. Now, again, you're right, exactly what you were saying. Just so that everyone at home understands, these light touches will result in 0x, whereas a bit of a harder touch will result in a 1x, a 2x for a spin, and a 4x for a proper collision. So yeah, I don't know. It's very close, but lead us into the final lap, sir.
Yeah, we do around for the final time here at Oulton Park for the season, and this is probably my favourite series combination. Oulton Park with British touring cars, it's just something about this track and car combo. I don't know what it is. I think it's probably the first time I drove on Toka Touring Car Championship in Oulton Park, and I just thought this was the maddest place to have a race ever. But yeah, I absolutely love this combination, and it's massively paid off this evening. Some superb driving, nor more so than the man you can see in the windscreen in front of you, Brandon McGahan. He has been superb. Now, can he hold on to it? Ronan Doherty trying to move down the outside. Ronan doesn't care that Brandon's gone up 18 places. He doesn't care about the redemption story. He wants to be top step of that podium. Does Ronan Doherty. He's up 4 places himself, is Ronan in the number 6 car. Brandon McGahan holding him off, and as is quite fitting for this evening, despite the fact that we've had 2 race winners who are comfortably in the lead, we have had some massive battling, and it will come down to the final corner, as is tradition here in RTA. Seems to be between some of these drivers who are exceptionally talented, and I really say, try doing it yourself and see how you get on. Try racing against these guys. It won't go well for you. But here is Brandon McGon. He's up over the hill. He's through Lodge Corner. He's over Deerleap. He can see the finish line, and he's over the finish line. He started 19th, and he ends in first position. Brandon McGon, what an incredible drive. One of the drives of the season by the 89th car. He's the winner in the final race here of the RTA BTCC Championship. Round number 5. Dan Mould coming in 9th position there. Ronan Doherty finishing 2nd. Wayne Douglas in 3rd. Oscar Mangan in 4th. Dylan McClements in 5th. Conor Melia in 6th. Sean McGoldrick in 7th. Dropped back a few places there because he was battling for 5th position. As we see, Evan Walsh unfortunately caught up in more instances, Evan. And Jordan Kelly. Oh, we'll talk about this man in a second. But John McClements in 8th. Dan Mould in 9th. Dara Halley in 10th. And a great drive from Tony Stack as well. Johnny Hollywood, I think, said it in the comments. No, Jamal Gandor said it. A great drive from Tony Stack to Kerry, man. It's been a good weekend for his county, and indeed a good weekend for him too. But Jordan Kelly, it's hard to believe that this man won the opening race by 9 seconds. And he won race 1 and race 2 last week. He won race 1 this week, but unfortunately race 2 and race 3 has been a write-off for the Team Dolan VRA sponsored number 14 entry. What a disaster for Jordan Kelly. Really, again, the conversation goes on about whether it's his own doing or not. That will be interesting to see what people say in the comments and indeed in the stewards room. I'm sure himself and Robbie Callahan will be chewing the fat over this one as Emma Dempsey is ready to cross the line. And just a reminder as well that, you know, we talk about these incidents between these guys, but like oftentimes they'll sit down in the incidents room and they'll actually have to crack with each other. Like they don't tear strips out of each other. They don't, you know, this isn't a Prost Senna situation. Very much all these guys are on good terms with each other and very open to racing. And that's the sign of a good racer, somebody who can hold their hands up and accept when they're at fault. So we finish here for the final time crossing the line, and we'll go through the results for you before we have our interviewees. Brandon McGon, as I said, started 19th and up in first place. What a drive from the 89th. One of the best drives we've ever seen from Brandon McGon in the series. Followed by Ronan Doherty in P2. Couldn't quite amount enough to get a top step on the podium, but a reasonably good evening for Ronan given the instance he was involved in earlier on. Wayne Douglas defies the laws of gravity and indeed the instant points level to finish in 3rd position, but a very focused and aggressive drive from Wayne, but up 2 positions to finish in 3rd place. Oscar Mangan up 4 positions to finish in 4th, followed by Dylan McClements, Conor Melia, Sean McGoldrick and Sean McClements in P8. Sean down 1 position in the end. Sean McGoldrick missing out on 6 positions. Remember, he started on P1 but had a disastrous start. Dan Mould up 14 places to P9. Dara Halley up 15 places to P10. And Tony Stack up 1 place to P11. A great result for Tony in the Team Whiskey car. He's in the B Championship, and a superb result for him will get him right back up there. Simon Hutchings also in the B Championship. He finishes P12, followed by Diarmuid Toomey. Finlay Melvin, who came into the B Championship on the lead. I suspect, given the results of this evening, he will stay there. Then David Prunty. Then Peter McCann down 13 places. Unfortunately, got involved in some bad results. He's P16 on my timing table, but he's P17 on the live timing screen, so we'll have to see how that one shaked up. Evan Walsh, unfortunately, he was also involved in some incidents, as was Jordan Kelly. Very disappointing for Jordan. Started race 2 on P1, but unfortunately got tied up in an awful incident with Dylan McClements and was really on the back foot from the rest of the evening. Then Phil Upson, Emma Dempsey, Kevin Joyce, Rory O'Shea, Robbie Callahan, Andrew Murphy and Dave Collier. All of these guys, of course, you may recall, caught up in an enormous incident going into the Shell Oil Bend through the Island Bend, where Callahan got it involved in the tip and went back across the road, taking out Jordan Kelly and indeed quite a number of other drivers. So we should have Brandon McGon in the commentary booth with us. And Brandon, I think it's fair to say on my time commentating on RTA, this is bar and away your best drive.
Yeah, definitely. 20th to 1st I didn't think was going to happen, so well happy with it. If every race could be wet and at Oulton or Donington, I'd be happy enough.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about it. Obviously, there was incidents galore, particularly that one going into the Shell Oil corner after the Island Bend, where Jordan and Robbie Callahan came together. Um, like, how do you kind of pick your way through that mess?
That one there was quite a bit of luck. To be fair, I was lucky I was where I was really, because I saw Robbie start to run deep and I left it out of it, and then he spun and took out Jordan in the process, so it worked out well for me lifting out. And then really when I got like to the edge of the top 10, it was there wasn't that many mistakes made by people. Like I had to make all my moves and kind of make the most of people checking up. So I found a couple of places where a good dive bomb down the inside worked well. So um, yeah, had the dancing shoes on that one.
Well, we saw you. I think if I'm right in saying Cascades is one of those, the left-hander downhill. You did like to send it in there. Yourself and Sean McGoldrick came together, and yourself and Ronan Doherty came together a few times. Some fairly aggressive racing. Wayne Douglas obviously getting stuck in as well. It's one of those tracks where you kind of have to be a little bit more assertive, don't you?
Yeah, pretty much. Like I was quite annoyed the race 2 there. Like I was in second and I felt I could have the pace to win it, and then I got a meatball for like a tiny bit of contact. So I was quite annoyed with that. So just kind of was definitely aggressive in that one, and it worked out well. To be fair, the one with Sean was just kind of, it was more on the exit of the corner, and like he when my rear arch went to his front left, it started turning me out of the corner, and it could have been a bad one. So fair play to him for lifting out of it, or else we both would have been around. But
Yeah,
yeah, no, I had to be aggressive just.
and I suppose, look, you're still very much in now with a shout at the championship. It's kind of a strange championship because, like, it's moving around all the time. Like, Oscar was in the lead, he was missing last week. Rona was in the lead, he's had a bad week here and there, he has penalties. Then Robbie was in the lead, and obviously he's had a bad week tonight. So it's still very much up in the air. There's any number of 6 or 7 guys could still win this.
Yeah, it's all over the place. To be fair, with my last couple of weeks haven't been so good, and I've still, just from other people having worse weekends, I've managed to stay in around the top 5. So race 2 won't help there, but you know, hopefully I should be getting close to the top 3 now. Fingers crossed.
Well, nice as ever, and it's always nice to be able to crown somebody driver of the day on stream. So, Brandon, congratulations not only on your race 3 win, P19 to P1, but also on becoming the latest receiver of the RTA Gantry TV driver of the day.
Thank you, appreciate it.
So, thanks very much to Brandon. I was going to say he gets curly whirly, but we don't actually give anything, to be honest, for that. But we were joined by a man who knows his way around the curly whirly, Ronan Doherty. Ronan, tell us a little bit about that race 3, how it went for you. There was lots of contact. I imagine the 0x count was quite high.
Yeah, me and Bram were both in the limit, so I wanted to send it on the last lap, but I knew I couldn't really get any instant points, and yeah. But listen, I'm really happy. Apart from the first race where contact with Oscar sort of dropped me down, but yeah, the night as a whole, I'm happy with it. I had a bad qualifying in 7th, but I managed to go up to 3rd, then down to 14th I think in the first race, and 14th to 3rd, and 6th to 2nd. The last race I got a terrible start. I think I was 10th in the first corner, and started picking my way through. Got a little bit stuck behind Oscar. And then Brandon went past me, and he was going past everyone, so I was like, what's he doing? And he was basically just dive bombing everyone and dooring them out. Proper BTCC style, so I kind of just started doing what he was doing, and it sure enough it worked, and I found myself at the front, but no, I was happy.
Rubbing is racing, or what's your feeling on that tactic?
Well, he wasn't completely pushing people, into the wall or anything, but it's kind of fair game, I guess, if you think about it, because you're fighting over that inside line, and then the car's going to naturally understeer whenever you're on that, and the person on the outside's trying to pinch you tight. So it is what I mean. When you watch BTCC in the wet and real life, that's kind of how they do it too. So yeah, picked up in Brand's tactic, and it was working, and yeah.
Yeah, well, in fairness, Brandon, he started 19th and finished first, so it was definitely worked for him. In terms of your own sake, and I asked this to Brandon as well, like, championship's wide open now, isn't it? Like, normally by the time we get to the end of round 5, we're talking about, okay, well, here are 2 or 3 guys who are still in with it, but like, there's been so much change and so many bad rounds for people at the top that it's still massively open coming down the stretch.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting. The way the different cars play into it too. Tonight, I was the Veloster and Civic. To be fair, like the short wheelbases just weren't working at all, and you basically had to sort of find a way around whenever the tires went off, just kind of using your experience to gain pace that way. So it was interesting how those dynamics sort of worked, and they'll keep changing on every track, of course. But yeah, no, it's Sen was to play for me. I got like 30 penalty points, which dragged me back a lot. I think it would be in the lead, but I don't know if I'm second or whatever in the championship. But no, yeah, it's shaping up to be an exciting one.
And finally, before we leave you go, Knockhill, have you driven it much on the service? It's not really a track that's often used. It's relatively new as well. So, obviously, you no doubt if you've driven around it in real life. How well does it reflect on iRacing?
To be fair, I haven't driven it real. I've only driven Donington and Anglesey outside of Ireland, but I've driven it a bit in the sim, just whenever RTA have done it in their championships, really. After I put my memory back to the first BTC championship, it seemed to be a good hunting ground. I think I got 2 wins in a second. The Elantra was really quick around there back in those days, but the cars have been changed and stuff. So yeah, looking forward to it.
All right, well, Ronan, no doubt we'll be speaking to you next week, and thank you very much as always for your time. Congratulations on what is, as you said, a very good, even for you, given the qualifying results, and still very much in with it with only 3 rounds left to go.
Cheers, lads. Thanks for the broadcast as well.
So thanks very much to Ronan Dardy, and thanks to you, Ronan Hederman, for your company this evening. As I said, championship wide open. We seem to get weaker. We seem to go on every week and think that we're getting closer to kind of figuring out where we are with this, and then every week something happens that kind of throws us back in.
Yeah, and I think Ronan Doherty actually kind of hit the nail on the head there. I think a lot of that might actually be down to the characteristics of we've got 3 different cars, and I think that might actually be a first for RTA where there's 3 different cars, maybe besides maybe some GT2 racing, and amazing to see him up there, with a car that was at a disadvantage tonight. I think that might play into it massively in terms of why the championship is the way it is so far. But yeah, really looking forward to the rest of the rounds. Like you said, it's wide open.
Yeah, it's going to be a fascinating conclusion. So join us next week at the same time, 9 o'clock on Tuesday for the British Touring the British Touring Car Championship. And my many thanks, as I said, to Ronan Hederman for managing to not only run the broadcast as per usual. Thankfully, no technical issues this evening. I think it came back to a bit of a dumpster fire there when I was looking at some of the comments when I was away. So glad to hear that, see that everything's gone to plan this evening. And indeed, thank you very much for your company as always. We will see you next Tuesday. We're heading up north to Wee Bonnie, Scotland for the 6th round at Knockhill. But until then, stay safe. Please, we're going to have a look at the calendar here actually just before we go. So Knockhill is next on our sites, and then we head back down to Silverstone before finishing where we started in Brands Hatch for the GP section. So have a great week, stay safe, and just finally, once again, obviously it's a very difficult week for Irish motorsport with the passing of Lauren O'Brien, the 13-year-old. So as much fun as this season is, and as seriously as we take it, we must remember that there are bigger things in life, and I hope that everyone takes an opportunity this week just to have her in our thoughts and think of everybody who puts their lives on the line, no matter what series they are, for our entertainment. Many of those who are racing in our own series. So kudos to all of you guys for your bravery. and your commitment to the sport, and of everybody, stewards, organisers, medics, everybody who's there to facilitate it happening. So just a quick thought for those this week, given what happened this weekend, gives us a good opportunity, I suppose, to reflect on everybody that we have close to us who's involved in motorsport. And join us next week, where we go to Knockhill for the latest round of the RTA BTCC Championship. But until then, from myself, Ronan Hederman, or from Ronan Hederman, and myself, Kevin Galvin, Songaful.